There's a lot of people who, if they had money, they would do a lot of good, right? But also, we also need to revisit what we consider as certain investments in the country as well too, where if the outcome is not increased employment, if the outcome is not increased salary, living wages, then it's up to us as a nation to revisit if this development or investment helps the average Gambian. And to be honest, Gambia is one of the places that it's too easy for you to generate wealth in this country without contributing to the human development quota. Because most companies that are successful, nobody knows what percentage of our revenue goes to employment.
Right.
Nobody knows what our average salary is. You could hear it in the streets here and there because typically it's actually frowned upon if you come into the market and want to increase salaries because they see it as you're messing up the market rate.
Yeah.
When, as I mentioned in previous talks, the average Gambian cannot survive off $10,000 he take home when a bag of rice is $2,000, where it costs $1,500 for a good internet. Where if you live in Busumbala, Lamin, that area, and you work in Fajada or Bakau, you could spend $1,500 a month, right? So that's the conversation we need to have. But it all comes down to, at the base level, people creating wealth, generating employment, and then the more value we create as a society, the more wealth we create, and then the responsibility of the person who's accumulating that wealth is to redistribute that wealth, not through charity, but through employment. Because we also have a culture where it's very easy for a Gambian to want you to give them money. But if you hired them to do a job, they won't work as diligently enough for you to create more value. So there's just a lot of cultural things that we need to revisit, but we can't talk about capitalism without taking ownership on how every Gambian wants to participate in building our nation through meaningful work, through value creation, through realizing that there's enough for everybody, and it doesn't have to be one person as well. So I think all those factors contribute.
Yeah, so I mean, looking at that, one could argue that that's a lot of power in the hand of one individual, because it means you are relying on the person's humanity to redistribute that wealth through employment, through building the society that their business is in. And we had a guest recently that said what could work for Gambia would be like a democratic socialist state where the government is involved in day-to-day activities, you know, like just to be in control for the benefit of the average Gambian. Because at the end of the day, when things hit the fan, it's the average Gambian that it really affects, right? Where people are just living day to day. What would be your take on a democratic socialist country compared to a democratic capitalist country?
Here's what I say: sample size.
Yeah.
Show me where it's worked. I think Koli the other day mentioned that Gambia is a startup company. We're 59 years old. Right? Meaning everything that we've tried is an experiment. But also insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. I don't think, that's just my personal opinion, I don't think we need more government involvement. We need government to, and when I say government, I'm always going to iterate the people are the government. Because sometimes as well too, I'm very careful with people trying to make every problem a political football. And that's dangerous, because the average person who influences how the country works will never show up on a voting ballot and have been here sometimes since all three republics, and they still hold a position of influence that dictates how countries move. But I think our civic education needs to improve because of that, because people only assign one thing to one person. And if you like Gando and Gando is the president, or you don't like Gando, you want to call all the problems in the country on the one person, when most people don't even understand the burden of leadership. How difficult it is to run a family, how difficult it is to run a company. Imagine that in terms of how difficult it is to run a country, right? So we have to always frame it not from a political lens, but from a development lens, meaning young people especially, we have to participate in development. That doesn't mean we need to participate in politics, right? But the model, I think, that makes it easy is you incentivize institutions that ease the burden of the system. Meaning, if I know your business has an opportunity to provide employment for 20,000 Gambians, I'm going to make it so easy for your business to not need customers, because as a country, I will be your number one customer. So now you know that you have an infrastructure in place, you're providing value, and now your biggest customer is the country. Most nations that progress in technology, in farming, in healthcare, the countries are your biggest customer.